Welcome to this video on conducting a hypothesis test for one proportion with a summary. Let's begin. In a recent poll, candidate A held 49% of the popular vote. After 2 weeks of diligent campaigning, candidate A wants to know if their efforts have resulted in more votes. You randomly select 500 voters and ask them if they plan to vote for candidate A. Of the 500 respondents, 260 say they plan to vote for candidate A, while 240 say they will vote for another candidate. Is there sufficient evidence at the 15% level to suggest that candidate A has become more popular? When you log onto RGuroo, it should look something like this. So we're going to come over to the left side of the screen and we're going to select Analytics and Analysis. Then we're going to select Proportion Inference and One Population. Now, the first option that you see is to select a data set, but we don't have a data set, we have a data summary. So we know that 500 people were surveyed and 260 of those people said that they were voting for candidate A. You might think that this is enough information to just run this simulation or the test, but unfortunately it's not. We have to come down here to the bottom of the screen and notice it says confidence interval and test of hypothesis. In this problem, we want to do a hypothesis test, so we have to state the alternative hypothesis. So remember, the alternative hypothesis is that the candidate has become more popular, in other words, that they've garnered more than 49% of the vote. Make sure you type in 0.49 and not 49, because as you can see when I hover over this, whatever value I type in here has to be between 0 and 1 exclusive. Okay. So the other thing I have to do is I have to select large sample Z, and then I also have to define the significance level, which remember is 0.15. So let's see if that works. So as you can see, it says factor label is missing, so it wants me to type something in here. So this is the number we're talking about, votes, and you can try it again, but then it wants the label for successes. So this is votes for candidate A. So remember, if you're doing just a homework problem or something that's like low stakes where you're not really, no one's going to see this output, you can just type in a random string of letters here just to satisfy the software. So let's go ahead and hit preview. Okay. So as you can see, we have a p-value right here of about 0.0898127. So is there sufficient evidence at the 15% level to suggest that candidate A's campaigning was successful and their popularity has increased? Well, remember our p-value was about 0.0898127, and this is compared to a significance level of 0.15. As you can see, our p-value is less than our significance level, so we must reject the null. So our statement is that there is sufficient evidence to suggest that candidate A has increased in popularity at the 15% significance level.